Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Jira training session. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the process of how to get components created for your project and also how to get that linked up to any of your issue types within the project. So, before we start, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you do have a question for me. Thank you. So, let's start. So, right now, once you've logged on into your Jira application, you would need to navigate through into your project to look for your project you're trying to get the components created for. So I'm going to go into the project at the top of the screen in here. In my subsequent videos, I believe I do have a few videos that's talked about how to get a project created and also how to find your project within the application. So right here, you navigate up to the top of your screen and you go into the project, and then I'll be clicking on one of my projects. So by default, once you click on your project, it takes you to the board section of the project. So your board could either be your Kanban or the Scrum board, depending on what you have set up in your organization. For the purpose of this training, what you're seeing on your screen, it's my Scrum board. So at the left side of the screen, where you can see where it says roadmap, backlog, active sprint, reports, issues, and components. So we're going into the component section for today's training session. Excuse me. So I'm going to be clicking on the component. And in here, you can see that I already have one component created in there. But for the purpose of this training, I'm going to be creating a new one so you can see how I got it created. So you click on components at the top right of your screen where it says the blue button in here. When you click on components, then it allows you to type in what are you trying to create, what's the name of the component you're trying to create for the project. So for the purpose of this training, I'm just going to be calling this building. Okay. Once you've put on the name in, the next key information in here is the description. This is not a required field, so you don't have to put any information in there. If you don't know what to put, you can leave it blank because it's not required. The other key information that I always tell people to put information in will probably be the default assigning. By default, once you're creating a component, it automatically gets assigned to the project lead. When you're creating a project, every project has got a project lead assigned to each project. So by default, they would get notification that a component has been created for that project. So if you don't want that to be the case, for some organizations they do have component leads. So you at this point in time you would need to select if it's going to go to the project lead or if you wanted to go to a designated person, maybe the component lead if it's already defined. But for the purpose of this training, I'll be leaving this at project lead. Bear in mind, you can also have it at unassigned for it not to be assigned to anybody if you don't want it to as well. You have that within the option as well. So I'm clicking on the project lead and then I'm going to click and save. So now I've got my component created. So what you now need to do is now navigate back to the issues in your project, where you go back to the left side of your screen again and click on issues. This will then take you back to your JQO queries, your filters, where you have all the issues in your project coming up in here. Every component that you have defined for your project can be assigned to any issue types you have in your project. So, regardless of how many issue types you have, that component is for the project and can be assigned to every single thing in there. So, I'll be clicking on one of the issue type and then walking you through the process of how you then link that up to one of your tickets. So, I'll be clicking on the story as an example. You click on that and that would open it up. Depending on the version you have for your Jira instance, you might not be seeing this what you're seeing on my screen. Your setup might be slightly different in terms of where information are situated. For some Jira instance, you would see where you can see this attach button, you would see where it says edit, more, links, workflow, depending on the Jira instance. But my Jira instance is a newer version, and that's why you can see that I've got all the detailed screen at the right side of my screen. So what I'm then going to do is go into the more fields where it has the section. For yours, it might be that you need to click on it for the option to drop down. It might be collapsed or not. So it depends on how you have it set up already. Mine is already collapsed because I've worked on it previously. So now, once you click on that, I can then see my components. In this section, by default, you would see a none in there. But when you click on it, it gives you the drop down list of all the components you already have defined for your project. For some organizations, you might have loads, hundreds, I don't know how many components you have defined for your project. So bear in mind, literally can type in what you want and then it narrows down the option for you. So you don't have to scroll up and down. You can literally type it in, or in my instance, I've only got two. So it's easy for me to, look through both items that I have and select the one that I want. So I'm going to be clicking on building. And then once you've done that, that's it added to my ticket. So once you've done that, the component is now already added into your ticket. So what you need to do next is, if you then want to be able to pull information or do reporting based on the different components that you would have within the organization, you would have to navigate back to the beginning where we started, where you're going back into your project. So I will go back into my project and then go back into the component section of the project. And in here, I would be able to see all the list of the components that I already have defined for this project. And if you look at the right hand side where it says issues, you can see for building, it already has one issue already assigned to it. So this way, it also helps with your JQL queries if you're not familiar with, searching for things using JQL query. This is another good way of doing things as well, because all you need to do is click on this one issue, and then that would open up the query for you with it already written out for you. So you can see in the JQL query, it's already done project equals to PX and component equals to building. So you don't literally have to do anything anymore. It's already done. And then you can pull this information into a dashboard, into to create a new board or whatever you're trying to do with it. So that's it. If you do have any question, or if there's any part of this not clear, please leave me a comment in the comment section and I will get back to you. Thank you very much for staying tuned to the end of the video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next class. So before you go, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, like, share, and leave me a comment below. Thank you.